Beech Forest, a story trail rich in history and in scenery. Your story trail begins at Beech Forest, high atop the Otway Ranges in southwestern Victoria. The trail starts at the information centre and does a counterclockwise loop around the town, with a spur to the left through a forest fern glade walk. Time is approximately 1.5 hours, weather is mainly cooler, distance is 3 kilometres, and there are gentle gradients. Story trails are best experienced using any mobile device with headsets across all digital platforms. They are free to download and share. Mobile phone users should set their phone to auto-rotate for landscape viewing. Instructions: we will guide you to each story point. Each story point engages you with images, audio and text. We recommend pausing the video after each story point, explore and press play to proceed. Your story trail includes photo display and police lockup, the Beechy Hotel, chainsaw sculptures, train turnaround and derailment, the First Peoples, 3 trees of note, art gallery cafe, Australia's own Forrest Gump, Fern forest stroll, learn about a terrible toll. Then proceed to the right side of the information centre. Explore the interesting photo display. The next story point is the old police lockup. After exploring the historic and scenic photo display, walk outside. You will see a playground and picnic area. Look to the left. Pause this video and walk over to the old police lockup. Like many towns, Beech Forest has some skeletons of times past. In 1912, 2 Russian immigrants quarrelled. A butcher's knife was used to end a life. Then in 1916, a 4-year-old girl was found with her throat cut behind the Ditchley Park Hotel, no longer standing. Curious? The lockup is open. Go inside and imagine being locked up in the freezing cold or stifling heat whilst waiting to be taken to the nearest magistrate. Your next story point is the Beechy Hotel. Take the concrete path in front of the playground in an easterly direction. Go left. Soon you will see the Beechy. First hotel in Beech Forest was reputedly built from the planks cut from one giant mountain ash. Pioneer Jack Gardner, pictured, built the 14-room hotel known as Ditchley Park in 1888. A bushfire in 1919 destroyed the hotel and most of the town. In its heyday, Beech Forest had several hotels. Today, the Beechy Pub, as it is affectionately known, continues the tradition, offering warm country hospitality. Your next story point are the chainsaw sculptures. Continue in an easterly direction along the main street. Very soon you will see the sculptures. Beech Forest soon became a hub for the timber industry due to the large areas of beech myrtle, blackwood and mountain ash trees. Beech myrtle is favoured for decorative veneers and high-end joinery. Mountain ash was ideal for the housing and construction industries. The area was home to around 30 timber mills after a railway line was established from Colac in 1902. Hand-operated cross saws and horses have long been replaced by chainsaws and logging trucks. Train turnaround and derailment. Continue to walk east along the main street. Shortly after the sculptures you will see, to your left, the cutting loop used to turn trains around. There is an information plaque to read. Beware, it can get mushy nearby. A mysterious derailment took place in 1904. It was a secret for many years. Narrow-gauge steam locomotives came from Colac. In order to return, they used a turnaround loop. In 1904, the locomotive crew left the train unattended opposite the Ditchley Park Hotel. While the crew were taking some refreshments, some local children boarded the engine, started it and jumped out, leaving it to speed away and tip over on a bend. The official reason given for the accident is that the driver had fallen out of the engine while engaged in shunting, allowing it to run away out of control. At our next story point, we will meet the First Peoples. Continue in an easterly direction along Main Street. Walk left into Southorn St. Note the rusty old tractor, a relic from the potato farming period post-World War I to the 1970s. The road curves around the train turnaround loop. Look to your right. On a clear day you can see Victoria's inland lakes and Mount Elephant on the horizon. Gadabanud, or king parrot people, have occupied the Otways for many thousands of years. During the 1830s, the Gadabanud successfully avoided interactions with European settlers. Early squatters thought the Otways were uninhabited and the thick forest was impenetrable to European explorers. Superintendent Charles Latrobe successfully led an expedition to Cape Otway in 1846. Later in 1846, George Smythe was contracted to survey the Otways. One of his surveying party was killed by a group of Gadabanud, although there are no details on whether they may have been provoked in some way. Smythe organised a retaliatory expedition. They came across 7 Gadabanud at the mouth of the Eyre River and killed them in what became known as the Eyre River Massacre. The first European settlers were sealers and whalers, who followed by graziers and timber cutters. The next story point reveals 3 trees to note. Continue along Southorn Street in a westerly direction. Look for an overhead waterfill. 30 metres on, look for 3 trees that have sustained the timber industry in the Otways: beech myrtle, mountain ash and pines. Beech myrtle, on the left, is an ancient rainforest species. They are found in New Zealand, Tasmania and South Africa. This is proof of a supercontinent, Gondwana some 300 million years ago. The mountain ash continued to be used in housing and construction. The pine tree represents a more recent timber plantation logging in the Otways. You will often see large areas of planted, harvested trees as you drive around. Logging trucks on the road show the ongoing importance of the Otway timber industry. The next story point is optional. You can drop in or not. The Art Gallery and Cafe. Continue along Southorn Street in a westerly direction. You can't miss the Art Gallery on the bend. Need a short break? Drop in and be surprised. Creative designs and watercolours that grab your attention await you. Maybe a light snack and a cuppa is all you need. Sit at the table of knowledge and let the conversation flow. At our next story point, you will meet Australia's very own Forrest Gump. Proceed up to the main road and cross over with care. Follow the path to the right and let's meet Beech Forest's very own legend, Cliff Young. When unknown 61-year-old Beech Forest farmer Cliff Young shuffled off his farmland and defeated 10 professional runners in the 1983 Sydney to Melbourne ultramarathon race, a legend was born. The story of a scrawny, socially awkward farmer who trained in gumboot galoshes chasing dairy cows in Forrest Gump fashion is all true. The race was considered one of the world's most difficult physical tests, covering 875 kilometres, taking 6 or 7 days to complete. It's time to enjoy a fern forest stroll. Keep walking in a westerly direction. Looking south, you can see the Southern Ocean on a clear day. Look for the old Beech Forest Crows railway line sign and Beechy rail trail markers. Walk across the gravel area and follow the path to the left to Ferguson. In about 400 metres you will enter a mossy fern forest rail cutting. Take a moment to imagine yourself as a passenger on the narrow gauge steam train as it chugged through this idyllic setting. In 1911 the rail line was extended to service the small towns and people of Lavershill and Crows to the west of Beech Forest. It was the longest narrow gauge line in Victoria at the time. Time for quiet reflection and take in the fern forest experience. Enjoy your stroll. Your next story point involves a terrible, tragic toll. On reaching the western edge of the fern forest stroll, return via the same track. Then follow the old main road to the right. Look for the War Memorial on the left. Beginning of World War I, Beech Forest had a population of around 250 people. By 1917 it had almost halved. Nearly 100 young men joined the Australian Imperial Forces in Europe. The community suffered greatly as there were no men to work the land. Moves were made to close the rail line. The original memorial was destroyed by fire. The current memorial is dedicated to those who were in World War II and more recent conflicts. Your story trail has come to an end. Continue along the old main road to the new main road. You will see your start point, the Visitor and History Information Centre. We hope you have enjoyed your Beech Forest story trail. Take time to study the iron silhouette. Feel free to share this story trail with friends. If you have time, you might consider visiting the Otway Museum at the Ferguson-Lavershill Road intersection. There are fascinating artefacts, memorabilia, great snacks and refreshments. Happy trails! Our cameo film clip is the Beechy narrow gauge rail.
On the 30th of June 1962, the last train ran on the Colac to Beech Forest and Crow's narrow gauge line through the Otways in Victoria's west. 50 years later, the line is still fondly remembered by many.